Hey, what's up, everybody? So, this is going to be one of those thoughts and reviews on a movie where it's just kind of off the cuff, nothing special is going to go on with it because I kind of want to talk about things and kind of go through them, gradually or get first reaction type of thing because just saw Clerks 3 and man, I was thinking about it all the way on the drive home and trying to figure out where exactly I stand on the movie. So I'll warn you now, it's going to have spoilers in it because I don't think I can talk about this movie without talking about the third act and what goes on in the third act because it has a big purpose into the way that I'm thinking about things and also with other things that are like running through my head and everything like that. Because I'm I'm now middle aged. If you for all that stuff, and the premise behind it and the basic story is that Randall, he has a heart attack in the beginning of the movie, and then he has his midlife crisis, and when he has his midlife crisis, he decides that he's going to remake Clerks or make Clerks basically, and because he survives a widowmaker just like Kevin Smith, and it's just that journey, and it's them basically coming up with the movie, him writing the movie, them shooting the movie, and doing it exactly the way that Kevin Smith did it. Right? That's your basic thing that's going on. We have a ton of returning characters. The coolest thing, the honestly, the coolest thing is they found all the people from the original movie to come and reprise their roles and do the lines a little differently here and there, to talk about things. But then we also have like Elias comes back from Clerks 2, and he's working at the Quick Stop as well. The video store is not there anymore, and now it's Jay and Silent Bob's weed shop, things like that. But it's actually filmed in the same location that the original Clerks was filmed in. Everything about this movie is nostalgic cool, like all that stuff, all the little things from even like Chulies being the brand of gum that has signs all over the place, the nail cigarettes, to the movie, stuff that's in the store, and the like the weed Cheerios. I want to say that they were called like Chief Keefios or something like that. It's relatively funny, and the sight gags are there, and just seeing all the stuff from the original film. And I'll definitely say that, man, if you are a Clerks fan, you should see this movie. If you're a fan of Kevin Smith, it's worth seeing. It's way better than the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which I did enjoy and I thought was pretty funny, but I thought it was kind of on the weaker side of his films. I've been a big fan of Kevin Smith films for a really long time, and Clerks is an absolute classic. Dogma is my favorite of his movies, and that movie is so good. And even with this, like, there's a little, because we saw the Fathom Events version of this movie, and at the end of the movie, he talks about Lionsgate, and Lionsgate's the one that gave Dogma a chance, and why you really can't find Dogma anywhere, which kind of sucks, but because it's all tied up in a bunch of crap. But it's just, it's good. I would definitely rank this up there with those films. Clerks, Clerks 2, Dogma, Clerks 3. I definitely think are his best films. And while I like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and I love Red State, and I do like the Jay and Silent Bob reboot a lot and Chasing Amy. Those four are his top films that he's done, and just what he's able to do, and where you went from Clerks, where you have them being young and working in this environment that they don't really like to be there, and then you go to Clerks 2. What happens when you're still the same people but you're in your 30s, and to now where you're now facing a midlife crisis, and you've had a heart attack and you're almost 50, and what do you do with that, and how do you make a long lasting impact? You Randall says something in there. He's like, "What have I done with my life? Absolutely nothing." Right? And he's like, there's just like, I haven't done anything. I have nothing to show for it. I don't have loved ones. And and Dante's like right there next to him. And the real crux of the story is that Randall, he's just so self-centered about everything that he's doing, that he's making this movie about his life, and he's doing all these things, and that he just can't see how much of an impact on Dante has with him until the final act of the movie. And that's where everything gets kind of topsy-turvy, like crushing in terms of like emotional and stuff like that, because Dante has his own heart attack. And just like the original ending that was supposed to be Clerks, and if you've never seen Clerks before, you need to go see Clerks. I mean, who hasn't seen it? But the original ending of Clerks was going to have Dante being shot and killed, and because Kevin Smith originally believed that he wasn't going to make another movie, right? This was going to be it. He was never going to do another Clerks movie. There's never going to be a sequel. And I forgot to talk about Mallrats. Mallrats is good too. Mallrats is in the second tier of his movies, but he never thought he'd do that. Never thought he'd do that again. And fortunately, he changed his mind, and we still get these characters over and over again. And that was the spoiler, by the way, was the whole thing with Dante having a heart attack. And there's some weird things in it, and I was because the one thing I was like, I'm not sure why he chose this route. And then it made sense at the end of the movie, where if you remember Rosario Dawson's character Becky in the second Clerks movie, at the end of it, it was like they're gonna get together and she's gonna have a baby, and you find out in here that she died, and so did his unborn child, which was really just like, ooh, because like you see him go into the shop, go into the quick stop, and then he taps the cash register, and there's a picture of her like in loving memory in 2006 when Clerks 2 was made. So it's like shortly after that movie, like he had this big tragedy happen to him, and now we witness that in the kind of what the ramifications are many years later, that he's not able to like love anybody, he's not able to give himself up and get rid of her and her thoughts, and and he has this it's a really good scene, marred a little bit by Brian O'Callahan's acting. He's a good he's a good straight man, and he's a good deadpan deliverer, right? In the way that Dante always is. But when he has to act emotional, except for the very end, which really did get me. But during the scene where he talks to Becky in the graveyard, he goes and visits her grave because he doesn't want to do all these self-serving things that Randall's just kind of like, well, we're going to act in the movie together, and you're going to be the producer, so you have to go get funding, and you have to go do this. And he's like, why? And he even tells him, I don't want to Dante this thing. He's like, what the fuck is Danteing? He's like, well, you're the type of person that doesn't know whether it wants to shit or get off the pot. And he's like, and I'm just going to, I've decided that I'm just going to shit bricks or I'm going to die. So I'm just going to keep shitting bricks. And it's the emotional scene that happens there, and it is really emotional, but he's just not able to fully carry it out, and it makes it a little awkward. But again, the scene is good, and the scene where he has to return to the movies because they're going to refilm the donkey scene, and like he can't go back there because it reminds him too much of her, and he runs away. It's a really powerful scene, and it is a really big character scene for Dante, but he just can't quite carry it. And while like that scene is much better in the way that it goes, it misses the mark a little bit, and it's just because of his acting chops, right? And I know that he's done more like comedy stuff, and I know he's done a bunch of stage plays and a bunch of other things, but it just kind of shows that and the thing is that everything else is perfectly fine, and the way that him and Randall interact with each other is still absolutely the best. It is the best thing that Kevin Smith has done, is create these two characters. You know, a lot of people, Jay and Silent Bob, and I get it. I love those guys too, but Dante and Randall are like the ultimate characters, you know, in the way, and these two actors just bounce off each other so well. And when they get into these things, and they, you know, especially, you know, with the original one, it was really about Dante, you know, and Randall giving Dante the business, right? And going through and doing the whole, you know, when he's talking to him, you know, I've never had somebody come in. There's Raina yelling again. But you know, somebody coming. Well, that's Kevin Smith that actually says it's Silent Bob that says the one about, you know, I never had a girl come and bring me lasagna. And but like when he gives him the business in Clerks, you know, going through and calling himself centered, and like, yeah, okay, you had a choice. You could have just said no, that you're not going to be here today, you know, and getting him into his business. You know, there's that turnaround in this movie where it's like, dude, you're so self-centered about yourself, you don't realize anything out. You know, that everything that he's writing in his movie is like going through the motions and making him the star. And you know that it's his thing, and who cares about your life? I don't, you know, nobody wants to know about your life. This is not even an important thing. And then that's what causes him to have the heart attack. um but when the jokes hit in this movie, they hit fucking hard. And the first like 15 minutes, it was so goddamn funny. And there are so many times where they just like, when it is funny, it is really, really funny, like Clerks 2, right? And when it's not so funny, it's still funny, but it's just kind of like a laugh and a smile, you know? And I think it's nostalgic funny that gets you in those scenes, not necessarily that the jokes hit so good, because there are a lot of misses with things that are done. The whole Elias angle of him going from being super Christian boy to being a Satanist, and seeing him progress in the way that he dresses and he does everything, it's pretty goddamn funny. The jokes about whether or not this is going to be a porno, they do the recurring joke, but he stops it, which I thought was great, because when the final one, it kind of outweighs its welcome, and then it comes back again later at the end of the movie. Also, there's another one too about butt thieves, and it went away, and then all of a sudden it came back right at the end of the film, which was pretty damn funny. When it came back, it caught me off guard again. But it's amazing that he's able to use all these characters. He gets his girlfriend, the actress that plays her, I'm sorry that I don't remember names, comes back and basically kind of does her role again with him, and it's fantastic. And it's, like I said, just a lot of the movie is marred by the nostalgia for Clerks, right? If you were never a big fan of Clerks, then this movie's not for you. It's plain and simple, because it's basically just retelling that. It's retelling the whole thing, but it's doing it from the perspective of Randall being the main character rather than Dante, right? But then the big emotional scene after Dante has his heart attack, and you know, you see Dante when Randall has his heart attack, Dante's right there waiting the entire time, staying in the hospital. And the moment that Dante has his heart attack, Randall, because he can't deal with it, right? And he again is so obsessed with his movie as well. But I think it's more of a like I say, it's he doesn't know how to deal. So he's just kind of like, okay, well I need to do my movie. I need to do my movie. And Elias gives him the business at that point. Like in just that little bit of time, you know, and he comes to the realization, he goes back and he edits the movie. It becomes so powerful that, you know, I'm like, am I really getting this emotional in a Kevin Smith movie? Like, is that the way that these things are going to go? Like, nothing else has made me tear up. Nothing else has made me like cry or feel overwhelming emotion. But as he's like, the last thing that he does for Dante is he shows him the movie, and he shows him how important he actually is. And he's just like, because they make another joke in the beginning, and you know, all the Star Wars analogies, he's, you know, well, I'm Luke and Han, you know, and you're Dak. And who the fuck is Dak? Well, Dak is the gunner that is in Luke's ship. And, he's like, did you ever have a toy made of him? Well, of course not. But he's important to Luke, and he's important to the way the story goes. And then at the end, as unfortunately Dante is dying, he, tells him that, no, you're the Luke, you're my Luke, and I'm the Dak to you. And it's just like, even having that little, it's like a silly throwaway line meant to be a little bit like a joke, but it's so good. And that sequence is so good and so emotional. And how he's like sitting in the theater watching his life put onto into a movie, but it's the story of his life. And as he's dying, and what you're seeing as everything's going through, because again, this is a metaphor, again, for Kevin Smith's heart attack and what he went through, and what the thoughts that went on in his head, and doing all that stuff. And it's but of course, this is the other side. This is the, like, Dante is the what if of Kevin. If you make Kevin both Dante and Randall, he ends up being Randall, but he realizes the things that he needs, and that the Dante part. But the Dante is I believe, the what if Kevin Smith didn't make it, right? And then you get a final scene with Becky where he's finally sitting down with her, and they're watching the movie, and then she's like, do you want to know how it ends? Don't you want to know how it ends? When he's getting ready to leave, and he's like, nope, the director is doing a good job, and I trust him. And that's when he passes away. And it's just, it's really emotional. It's super cool, which is probably not the right word to say there, but I found the whole thing just to be utterly fantastic. So, like I said, it does drop a bit. Like, if you're gonna rank all three Clerks movies, a lot of people probably go Clerks, Clerks 2, Clerks 3, that way. I definitely put Clerks 2, Clerks, then Clerks 3. I really like Clerks, but I feel like just for the amount of jokes, Clerks 2 is just absolutely solid. It has some of my favorite scenes in any Kevin Smith movie. That's why it pushes it a little bit above. But those three movies, it's like watching, for some people, the original Star Wars trilogy, right? The, episode 4, 5, and 6, where, Jedi is really good, and it may fall short in a little bit of areas, but it still can be your favorite film series of all time, and it's a lot of people's favorite film series of all time. And Kevin Smith has just made a great trilogy of films that had heart in this last one that I didn't think it was going to have. And it really it felt like it came out of left field. Though I kind of was like, once it happened, I was like, okay, I know that he's going to die. And that's just kind of what I thought the film needed if that was going to happen. So overall, I would definitely give this 4 out of 5 dicks at the same time. So it's good. I mean, if you get a chance to see it, this is a Fathom event right now. It will be on streaming soon. I definitely would give it a chance if you're a fan of Kevin Smith. And what's great during the credits is he starts talking to the audience after the song, like things like "I'm from New Jersey" or something like that plays. If you go and sit through that, and he explains that this is what the film was originally have to have over it, and after he's made, Randall's made this movie and everything, he's become this big director now, and he's in his 90s, and he says something about it, and he says, there's a line in it that he also mentions for himself, because it's the working in this quick stop as a kid for Kevin Smith that allowed him to make this movie, that the interactions he had with the customers is what led him to make Clerks. And, again, that's the side of Randall where he wanted to do this, but he decided the movie doesn't need this, over narrator voice at the end of it. But I'm going to read it to you now. And I kind of wish that it was there, but it's great that it's in the credits. So, yeah, go out and watch it. And thank you guys. If you guys have seen it, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to do all the fun stuff like and subscribe and everything like that. And also check out the podcast, please. Just did one on The Pit and the Pendulum, starting a brand new season. Next movie is going to be Summer of '84, which I really love that movie. And then we're going to do some Wes Craven Halloween. Also, look to this YouTube channel, because in October, we're going to do a bunch of horror movies, short reviews, all about maybe 3 to 5 minutes, just doing quick recaps and my thoughts and a score for 31 and 31. We'll have all of them available here on the YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess we'll see you on another review.